Hi everybody, Chief Andrew Smith from the Green Bay Police Department. Today's Friday, May 29th. Now if you're in Green Bay and you check our Facebook site, you know I do updates every couple days on the coronavirus, what's happening in Green Bay, how we're responding to the virus, our staffing, our statistics, things of that nature. I'm going to skip that today because there's something that more important that came up. And that is the Minneapolis incident, which involved the killing of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer. First, a quick update on that. This is Friday afternoon. They just announced that that officer has been arrested in that case, so he is in custody right now in Minneapolis. I understand that people are outraged. I understand that people in our community here in Green Bay are extremely upset about this. They're afraid for their children. They're afraid for their brothers and sisters in our community. They're afraid of the police here and across the country, and I understand that. When I saw that videotape, honestly, I was devastated. I couldn't believe what I was seeing on the video, and I was physically sickened by the actions that I saw that resulted in the killing of Mr. Floyd. I understand that there's a lot of outrage, and there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of fear. I've been getting hundreds of calls, hundreds of posts on our Facebook site, hundreds of emails and texts, people telling me how angry they are, asking me what we're doing here in Green Bay to prevent that from happening, to make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen here. And that's why I'm addressing you today. Instead of talking about the coronavirus, I want to talk about what we're doing here in Green Bay to make sure our officers are well trained, make sure they do their job right, and make sure something like this doesn't happen here in Green Bay. For those of you that are interested, we have started to schedule community meetings. We don't have the dates and times finalized, but we're going to be doing a series of community meetings, probably starting with the YMCA and Eddie Moore. And we're also going to be doing some smaller groups. And we're also posting this and other information on our Facebook site. Listen, if you post something on our Facebook site or if you respond to any of these videos on our Facebook site, I can assure you I'll read it. If you send me an email, I can assure you I'll read it. Sometimes I get so many I can't respond to everybody personally, but I'll try. So if you want to get some message to me personally, you can certainly do it on Facebook or you can do it on our video or on our computer. First of all, I want to assure everybody out there that we're doing everything we can in Green Bay to keep everybody in our community safe. Let's start with outside of the department. One of the things we've been doing for years now, and we continue to work on it and refine on it, is build that bank of trust with the community by partnering with different organizations and different community leaders. Just to name a few: Casa Alba, the Divine Temple, our friends over at COMSA, Better Days Mentoring, Black Lives United, LGBTQ organizations, YWCA, religious groups, neighborhood groups, nonprofits, anybody that wants to work with us and partner with us and work together to make Green Bay a better and safer place, we'll do it. We're also hoping that when we partner with those folks, they know that we're listening to them. We're listening to what their concerns are, and we're acting on those concerns so that they know that the police are responsive. We care about this community. We want the best for everybody in Green Bay and to keep everybody in Green Bay safe. A lot of people ask, what are we doing inside of the department to train our officers to make sure that they do everything right when they're out there in the field? Let me start by talking about what we're doing inside of the department to make sure we hire and retain the best quality people that we can. Let's start with recruiting. We recruit in this community because we want to have a department that matches the workforce that we have here in Green Bay in terms of ethnicity, gender, LGBTQ, all those things. So we heavily recruit in our area because we don't think people here know what the Green Bay community is like. But we're not afraid to go all over. We've got officers from as far away as the West Coast and as far away as Jamaica, Texas. We'll recruit anywhere where we can find the best quality individual. And what I'm looking for when we recruit somebody, look, we can train anybody to write reports, we can train people to drive police cars and things of that nature, but what I can't train people on is to have good character. What I look for in people that we hire is that they have the right character to do the job here and to do the job right for the right reasons. And that's not something that I can put in them, that's something that has to come from the way they were raised. That's something that comes from inside of the person. So that's what we look for, is having the right character. Now everybody goes through the same training in the state of Wisconsin, either a 2-year academy or a 6-month academy. What we'd like to do is, once they get out and before they come on our police department, we put them through our own academy. 4 weeks or 5 weeks, where we train them in use of force. We train them in de-escalation. We train them in constitutional policing. We train them in how we do things here and how we work with the community so that we have a partnership with the community. It's not, policing here is not something we do to a community, it's something we do with our community. Then once they're trained and they get back out in the field for a year, they're on probation, where we continue to train them, continue to monitor, make sure they're making good decisions, make sure they have that right community orientation, make sure they're demonstrating that kind of character that we need for our police officers to have here in Green Bay. For the rest of their career, we provide ongoing training. Most recently, the training we're focusing on has been constitutional policing. How do we police constitutionally all the time? De-escalation. How do we go into those highly charged, highly emotional scenes and calm everybody down without using force, using verbalization and all the other techniques we train them on. We brought in 2 experts last year from the East Coast on implicit bias, and they provided training to our department and other surrounding agencies on implicit bias. What is implicit bias? How do people develop these implicit biases? And how can we ensure we're policing constitutionally, recognizing that human beings pick up implicit bias as they go through the course of their lives? We also provide, almost all of our field officers have been through the CCIT training. That is mental illness and dealing with people that are in crisis and mental illness situations. It's a 40-hour course. It's very intensive. Most of our patrol officers have been through it. We're trying to get the entire department through, and that we work closely with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, to make sure that our officers are trained in that. And that's helped us with our de-escalation on people in our community that are suffering from mental illness. Finally, this winter, our in-service, the cornerstone of our in-service was human dignity. Dr. Derek Jeffries, who's a professor at UWGB, his book, America's Jails, A Search for Human Dignity in an Age of Mass Incarceration, is his latest book. He's a professor at UWGB in ethics and religious studies. He came and taught 10 classes here to our officers on human dignity. Now, most people say, what on earth are cops getting college professor courses on human dignity? That doesn't make sense to some people, but to me and to a lot of folks, it makes perfect sense. The idea is that every single person in this country, every person on the planet has inherent human dignity. And we need to recognize that, and we need to treat them with as much respect as we can, recognizing that they all have human dignity. And I think that was important training for all of our officers. I think it was very valuable training and time well spent from Professor Derek Jeffries. We also today are making sure that all our officers here are getting a refresher in use of force. In Wisconsin and in Green Bay, we do not teach people to put their knees on the back of people's necks when they're restraining them. We teach them to stop when someone says, hey, I can't breathe. We teach them to stop and render aid and make sure that person can breathe. One of the other things that I've also talked about is we have a partner override system here in Green Bay and in Wisconsin. Partner override is simply this. If you see that your partner is doing something wrong, he's engaging in excessive force, or he's using the application of force improperly, it's incumbent upon our officers to stop that situation from happening and to make sure that the officer that is using that force improperly gets stopped, the other officer takes over. We know that fights and use of force can sometimes be an emotionally charged situation, and an officer that comes in from the outside, sees something like that happen, can stop it, take over the call, and handle it safely so that no one gets hurt. But look, we do a lot of training, we do a lot of hiring of people with character, but as far as I'm concerned, unless you have accountability, the rest of that stuff kind of falls by the wayside. Here in Green Bay, we hold everybody accountable for their actions, including the chief of police. We have auditing systems, we do reviews. I personally review every use of force that occurs out there. We also have a team of use of force experts that review all of our use of force. If there's a problem that we can resolve at training, we'll do it. If it's a problem that rises to the level of misconduct, we'll investigate it and hold people accountable. And that's for everyone at all levels, including me. We in our Green Bay Police Department hold the department accountable for the actions of our officers. Green Bay, as in the rest of Wisconsin, the police department is overseen by a group called the Police and Fire Commission. These are community members that are selected by the mayor, that are approved by the city council, and they are the ones who actually oversee us. So in Green Bay, we have a 5-person panel that oversees the action of the chief of police, that oversees the action of our entire department, what we do, and our policies. So, in summation, the department here is overseen by a group of community members, civilians, that hold me and the rest of our department accountable. People ask about cameras. Do we have cameras? Yes, we do. We have cameras in all our squad cars. We are working towards getting body cameras for our officers. We don't have body cameras on everybody yet, but we do have cameras in our cars. We do have policies to ensure that those cameras are turned on and they capture most of the things that are out there. Again, it's not perfect, but we're working on getting body cameras for all of our officers. I want to make sure that everybody gets notified of future meetings, so check our Facebook site for future meetings. We'll keep you posted on when things are occurring. And I want to say, I think we've done a lot of work here in the community as a department. I'm very proud of the work our officers are doing every day. I think they've done a lot to build support and trust in this community. I think they've built up a good bank of trust, and people know that they can trust the Green Bay Police Department to go out there and do the job right. Yes, we're going to make mistakes, but I think people who recognize when mistakes are made, the Chief of Police will hold people accountable here in Green Bay. So I want to thank you for working together with us. I want to say thanks for people sending me their thoughts and their suggestions. And if you have an idea on how we can do policing better here in Green Bay, or there's something you want to tell me personally as a Chief of Police, feel free to reach out. Either call me, send me an email, post something on Facebook, send me a letter as people do, and I'll be happy to read it and act on it if I can. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.